Hi, my loves. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, welcome back to another video. If you are watching on YouTube, you can probably see that we are in a new setting once again. I moved like literally 2 weeks ago now. I'm finally settled into my new space, and I'm so fucking happy to be here, okay? I was in my old spot for like 2 years, and as much as I need like consistency, I am someone that I need my space to feel like a sanctuary. I need it to feel like home, like mine, and spaces hold energy, okay? There's only so much sage that can get rid of bullshit when bullshit keeps happening in the same space. So, anyway, very happy to be in my new spot, and I will say two things. One, I do sound a little rough right now, and I'm sorry. I had a cold like a couple weeks ago, and then the cough came back, so I've just been dealing with that. The second thing, this new space is a bit more noisy than the last one, so bear with me, okay? The audio for the podcast is going to be the same as on YouTube, and I'm still working out some kinks, trying to figure out maybe some soundproofing and how to get rid of any background noise in the editing process. But for now, if you are hearing noises, just bear with me, and we're gonna get through this together. Okay, so today I want to talk about masculine and feminine energy. Now, this is something, if you have been watching my YouTube videos, this is something that I have spoken about in the past, and I feel like the response that I got made me realize that this is very needed right now. This conversation about masculine and feminine energy is very, very necessary right now, and I love that. It is something that I am constantly, continuously trying to balance in my own life, and I love being able to talk about it and share with you, the things that I have learned along the way, because Lord knows I am no expert, but it is something that I have worked with a lot within myself energetically. So I want to talk about how you can kind of hack your life a little bit and your energy, avoid burnout, avoid doing the fucking most, and still accomplish all of the shit that you have set out to do by tapping into both your masculine and feminine energy and honoring the seasons of your life, honoring the seasons as they come and go. There is a time and a place, okay? There's a time and a place, a season for being in your masculine versus being in your feminine, okay? And when you are tapped in and you know how they feel within your body, how they feel within your spirit, you know what they look like externally, you can determine which energy you're operating the most in. You can actively determine every day, every week, every month, where you have been out of balance and where you can kind of reel it in or lean forward, if that makes sense, into one energy or the other. Now, for those of you who have never seen me before, never listened to my podcast before, I do want to make a little disclaimer, okay? This is something very, very fucking important to keep in mind when I am talking about masculine and feminine energy. If you are not familiar with these energies, I am not talking about man versus woman or male versus female, okay? We are talking about energy. Every single human being, whether you are man, woman, non-binary, whatever, every single person holds both of these energetics within them, okay? We are talking about energy, okay? I just want to make that really clear that we're talking about energy. Some ASMR for you. Let's carry on. To keep it super, super simple and cute, masculine energetics are all about action. Think planning. Think structure, okay? Think earth, not Mother Earth, but like earth, structure, foundation, okay? Feminine energetics are all about creativity, receiving, being in flow, emotions, softness. Think water, okay? That is the energy of the feminine, right? And we all have that within us. Now, depending on multiple factors, and you can watch, I have a few videos talking about this, we might naturally be leaning in one energy more than the other. And we all, okay, something that I have learned as I have worked with these energies is that we all have some kind of imbalance that we are unaware of because of the way that we live, the way that we behave and move in society. That's just kind of inevitable. And I think that's why it's so important for this work, for these energetics to be talked about, because most of us are unaware that we have imbalances in our energy, and that's what's making us feel so fucking crazy. If you live in today's modern society, you likely live in a capitalistic society. The feminine energy, the feminine embodiment, the feminine expression is the most overlooked in this society. The reason being is because we live in a capitalistic society where we have to work. We have to work to live. We have to work to survive. We have to find a way to beat the system, to make money, etc., etc. However, what people are starting to wake up to and realize is that actually, when you lean more into your feminine energy, when you make space for that kind of energy, you maximize your masculine energy. When you allow yourself to rest and receive, you maximize the part of your life where you are hustling, where you are making shit happen, because you are allowing yourself to recharge. You're creating space for new ideas. But what happens if we aren't making space for this feminine energy is we end up staying stuck in our masculine energy. Our feminine energy becomes weak, becomes scared to move, scared to come out, even when, you know, we're trying to create the space for it. And we lose out on the value and the regenerative healing that comes with this more feminine season of receiving and resting. And this puts you, I sounded Irish then. This okay. I watched Hozier the other weekend, and now I can't stop trying to do an Irish accent. What's happening? So when you are, I'm so sorry. When your energy is hyper masculine and you are not making space for the feminine, you are in a state of resistance. And when you are resisting where your life is naturally guiding you, okay, for example, let's say you've been busting your ass, you've been working so fucking hard to get this project or this business or something off of the ground, or make a certain amount of money, or get the dream job, or whatever it is. And now you have the thing. Okay, you've worked, you took action, and now you have the thing. Now the time is for you to maintain the thing. But how do you maintain the thing? You have to rest. You have to allow yourself to recharge. You have to allow yourself to lean back so that you can view this thing and how to maintain it from a new, fresh perspective. Not of trying desperately to get it, trying so hard to get it, but now of leaning back and resting in the energy of, this is mine. And yes, anything can happen. Life is unpredictable, but this is mine. I worked for this. It is mine. I can fucking chill out now. But when you're not creating that space to rest and receive, you are fucking with your own process, because now you're operating from a place of trying to control. You're operating from a place of desperation. And trying to control everything is a manifestation of unhealed and overactive masculine energy and unsettled feminine energy. This is why when you have a million things to do and you're like, well, I'm just gonna like chill out for the next 2 hours, but you have all these things to do, or mentally you're still tapped into the things that you have to do, like you're not actually relaxing and letting go and saying, now is the time to rest. I'm gonna worry about that later. Right now, I'm just gonna be with myself. I'm gonna be in flow. I'm gonna chill the fuck out. But you're not able to do that because you're still thinking about all of the fucking things that you have to do. So energetically, you are still operating in your masculine, even though in the external, you're like laying down or you're sitting down with a book or a cup of tea or going for a walk or whatever. You are still energetically and mentally in your masculine. The masculine is also about intellect, whereas the feminine is about feeling, right? So if you're still thinking about all the shit that you have to do, you're not really in your feminine. You're not really resting. And that's going to fuck with you and it's going to drain you over time. There is no point of doing this work if you don't actually give yourself the space to not only appreciate what you've done, but also receive the benefits of what you've done and make space for new ideas. Like I said, make space for new perspectives to flow through you. You have to be open to receiving if you want new ideas, new insights to come to you that will help you potentially maintain whatever it is in your life that you have created and worked for and manifested. When you think about this very fine balance between the masculine and the feminine, the energy that I want you to keep in mind is the energy of the Chariot, okay, in tarot. The energy of this card, so you're looking at a guy, presumably a king, okay, who is, his chariot is being pulled and he's not holding any type of reins, okay? He is not holding the reins. He is chilling. He is just hanging out, minding his business. He knows that he's going to get to where he needs to be. He knows that he's going to get to where he wants to be. He knows that in order to accomplish things, in order to manifest, in order to move forward in the physical realm, he can lean back and chill the fuck out. He can create the structure needed. He can get in his chariot. He can tell his steeds where to go. He can set that path. He can lay the path down. But he does not need to hold so tightly onto the reins, because if he does, he's going to miss out on potentially another path that would take him to where he wants to be with more ease, or another path that leads to more fruitful opportunities rather than the one that he initially laid out for him. When you are holding so tightly to the reins, when you are so heavily in your masculine energy, you are missing out on all of the possibilities, right? You are missing out on enjoying the ride, okay? So that is the energy that I want you to keep in mind. So if you're hearing all this and you're like, okay, but like, how do I know? Like, how do I know if I'm hyper masculine or if I'm hyper feminine, or I need to lean into one energy over the other? Like, how do I know? Okay. Here's how you know. You sit with yourself and you determine where you are resisting or controlling. So a few questions that you can ask yourself, and these are things that you can journal on. Sometimes I will sit and journal on them. Sometimes I will just process them as I'm like going on a walk or just hanging out, listening to music. Like, I will process them just internally. Do what feels good to you. Do what feels supportive. Okay. Have I taken a break today? When is the last time I gave myself a day off just to myself and not to do any work? How long have I been hustling towards a certain goal? Am I pushing myself to do more when in reality I've done enough to relax and reassess for a couple days or weeks? Or have I not done enough? Have I been doing busy work? Am I feeling burnt out, or am I feeling rejuvenated? Am I feeling grateful for what I've accomplished, or am I feeling guilty for not doing enough? Am I stressed out because I feel like I've been relaxing nonstop and not actually taking action on what I've been wanting to do? So, understanding masculine versus feminine energy, depending on how you answer these questions, you are going to know whether you are leaning into one over the other, okay? For example, if you have been relaxing nonstop and you're not actually taking action on what you want to accomplish, you are likely too much in your feminine, and you need to lean in a little bit more to your masculine. Okay, if you haven't given yourself a day off in weeks to just literally do nothing, you are way too much in your masculine, and you need to lean more into your feminine. It is up to you how you then respond to this awareness. Now, seasons of masculine versus feminine energy can last a couple hours. They can last a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, okay? It really just depends on what you got going on in your life. Now, I firmly believe that you are constantly needing both. You are constantly oscillating between both. But you want to do so, again, in a way that holds that balance. So let's say you are in the process of starting a business. That requires a lot of masculine energy. It also requires a lot of feminine energy. The masculine comes from taking action, from implementing the ideas that you have, the ideas that came from the feminine. Both of these energies are so valuable, okay? And the more that you work with your seasons and your duality rather than fighting that aspect of yourself, the more productive you actually become, the more peaceful you become, because there isn't any aspect of your being that you are actively neglecting, right? So we think that in order to be more productive, we need to work harder. That's only true if you have been way in your feminine and you haven't done shit, right? And you've just been sitting around and like twiddling your thumbs and like daydreaming about the thing that you want and not actually taking action. Then in that case, that's true. But if that's not the case and you have been working hard, if you want to be more productive, killing yourself to try and get the thing done isn't going to work. You need to allow yourself to rest. The two energies always go hand in hand. So the more comfortable that you get with these energies, the more aware you become of these energies, because I can shift a lot quicker than I was able to a couple years ago, okay? I can, once I allow myself to open to the awareness, I can recognize where I need to chill the fuck out, where I need to rest, or where I need to hustle. I can recognize energetically what this season of my life, even if it's just this day, is requiring of me, and shift accordingly. So the more comfortable you get with this energy, how it feels within you, how it looks, the easier it will be for you to determine where you need to be and how you need to move. So a good example of a time when I really needed to hold that balance within myself and be really aware of what the fuck was going on, and I had to use both energies for one big project, was creating my podcast. The idea for the podcast really only came about because I was able to lean into my feminine. I allowed myself to be creative. I allowed myself to kind of play with different ideas, what I would name it, the artwork. I played around with creating a logo, things like that. Like, I played around with the energy of the podcast and kind of visualized, what it would feel like, right? And then I started to prep. And that required me to lean into my more masculine energy. Once I started to research how to even start a podcast, once I started to research other podcasts and what they were doing, podcasts in my niche, things that they were doing well, things that they weren't doing well, platforms to host my podcast on, equipment that I needed for recording and editing, how to market a podcast, how to actually create a logo and not just like playing around with ideas. All of that required me to lean more into my masculine, because that was me. Like, I had the idea, that was the feminine. I birthed this idea. Now let's actually create it. Now let's bring it into the physical world and do the work in order to do that. Now that this is an ongoing project, I have done the work that I needed to do to get it off the ground and to make it a reality. Every time I am working on the podcast, I am again oscillating between the masculine and the feminine. So once I I record an episode, I write my emails, I create my content for promoting the podcast, all of that. That is requiring both energies actively because there's the creative and then there's the action, right? Once I do all of that, it's still very masculine energy because I'm taking action. Then I allow myself to chill the fuck out. I allow myself to chill out. I spend time in nature. I read. I study. I hang out with my friends. I enjoy my life, okay? And in doing so, I am opening myself up to new ideas for new episodes. So that's my real life example of how to actively honor both the masculine and the feminine. Now, I could go on forever, but I'm going to leave it there. This is the best way to begin to start assessing these energies within your life. And honestly, I think sitting with those questions and just reflecting on the way that you are moving in your life will tell you where you need to shift. Okay? Make sure you are making space for both of these energetics. That will create the most balance and bliss and abundance in your life. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. If you are enjoying the podcast, feel free to leave a little 5-star review. If you are watching on YouTube and you are enjoying, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any questions, there's anything you want me to dive more into, please feel free to leave a comment or send me a DM on Instagram. I will have all my information down below. Mad love, and I will talk to you in the next one.